Hi, I'm Mary Egbert from Kamaj Handspun Yarn, and today I'm going to show you how to spin a thick and thin. Today I'm using one of my beautifully hand-dyed wool tops, and there are a lot of different ways to spin thick and thin. Some hardcore spinners will tell you that you need to spin right from this thick top, or you don't know how to spin thick and thin. And you know what I say? You spin it any way you can to get the results you want. I mean, we think outside the box all the time for art yarn. So what's the difference? If you get thick and thin from doing a certain way, and it may not be the correct way in the eyes of those hardcore spinners, whatever, that's what I say. All right, so I'm gonna pull a piece off, I don't know, maybe about a yard, you know, whatever you like to handle. And I'm gonna open it up just a little bit. Now I'm gonna split the top, and the thickness of the top, when I split it, is about the thickness that's going to be the thick part of my yarn, if that makes sense. So, but first I'm going to split it in half, and then I'm going to split it in half again. Okay, so that's about how thick my thick part might be. If you want a little thinner thick and thin, you could probably split this once again. But I'm going to show you how to spin the thick and thin from a top, a wool top that was split 4 times, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my lead yarn, my leader, that's coming off the bobbin, and I have my yarn. And I'm going to go in the Z direction. And I'm just going to get that yarn on that leader first. Okay. And I'll just do it a couple times and I'll discuss what I'm doing. Okay, so this is how you make an easy thick and thin. So here's the junction between the twisted yarn and the not twisted yarn. That's where you want to hold it, and you want to have it close to the orifice. And then with your other hand, you want to hold a couple inches away. It depends on how long your staple length is. The longer the staple length is, the further away you're going to have your hands. So as it's turning, I'm pulling, and then I'm going to get a thinner part right here. So then I slip my hand down, and I hold that part for a couple twists. And as you can see, we have the thin part here, the thick part here, and then the other thin part here. Okay, so we'll do that again. I'm going to hold and draft and slide. Hold, draft, and slide. Hold, draft, and slide. Now the further down I hold on to this yarn here, the more fibers it's going to pick up, and the thicker the thick part's going to be. Let me show you. So if I'm grasping down a little further and pulling, that's going to be a pretty thick part. Versus if I hold it a little bit higher, it's barely thick at all. So you want to get your fingers down a little bit further on that wool top there. So just pull and draft until you get that thin part. Bring your hand down to that thin part. So it's pull and slide. Pull and slide. Now this thick and thin, this is what you can make coils from. You can ply it and not coil it and have a really cool looking yarn, or you can leave it just like this. It knits up really nice. You can use like a size 11 or size 13 needle for this. And it just depends on how thick your thick part is too. That was a thick one, and this is going to be a pretty good one. Hold and pull. So once you get the rhythm, it's so simple just to slide down. I need to tighten this just a little bit so it pulls in a little bit better. And then if you want to do a coil, you want to overspin just a little bit, because when you do a coil or when you ply, you're going to be going in the opposite direction. Okay, now see how that coils up? That's an overspun yarn, but it's a good overspun yarn because I'm going to be applying it in the opposite direction when I make my coils. See that? But see how those thick parts kind of puff up versus in relation to that thin part? So that is a very nice thick and thin.